Oh. Narayana. Hari Om and good evening from Cleveland. The king of Kashi and his whole retinue, his whole gathering, were crossing a narrow path. And from the other end, the king of Ayodhya was traveling with his retinue, with his gathering, on that same path. And now they're face to face with each other. There was no way of passing each other. So the king of Kashi sends a message to the front of this procession saying, the prestige of the king of Kashi, our lineage, is that we don't move for anyone. And the king of Ayodhya sends message to the front of the procession that the king of Ayodhya in our lineage, we always give way to others. That is our prestige. Both of these kings have a very different gauge of what prestige is. The world, unfortunately, teaches us that prestige is not working with someone, not adapting to others. When our Bhagavad Gita course is a reminder that we should work with others, that we should adapt to others. This is a value-based course. And what is a value? The way that we want others to be is a value. That's a most profound statement. We keep hearing about the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. I think this is a more accurate way to understand a value, is the way you want others to be, because we're very oriented towards expecting others to behave like this, to think like this. Our course is a reminder, the way we want others to be, we too should be like that. In chapter 13 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the word kshetra is introduced. And kshetra, if you can envision Pujya Gurudev's BMI chart, is the V and all that is below that V. The BMI, body, mind, intellect, the PFT, perceiver, feeler, thinker, the OET, the objects, emotions, thoughts. That's all kshetra. That's all the field. And the word we were exposed to before kshetra was prakriti. This is all creation. In chapter 13, the details of the field are studied in great depth. Why? We sometimes read or hear, the devil is in the details. I would like to understand this in a different way. Divinity is in the details. When the field is known in a detailed way, I can't help but feel that I'm not the field, that I'm different than the field. It's not mishra, it's not mixed, it's black and white. These details that I'm not the field, I'm not the kshetra, this jnana only becomes real when one is ready to receive this insight, when one is ready to give value to these teachings. And so Bhagavan Krishna teaches Prince Arjuna, for these details, for this jnana to become manifest for you, values are needed. And there's 20 values that Bhagavan Krishna shares with Prince Arjuna. We sampled 8 in our last class. Just to review 2 important ones. Ahimsa. Himsa means violence. Ahimsa means non-violence. And a more personal way to understand this is sensitivity. When one is sensitive to sorrow, their own, then they try to grow out of that. When one is sensitive to another's sorrow, they're not so hard on other people then. Ahimsa. Another value we studied is kshantihi. Kshantihi in a simple way means forgiveness. Kshantihi in a more personal way is acceptance. Where one is not struggling to change another person. One is not resisting to accept another person, then one is employing kshantihi. They're forgiving in the sense that they're not taking offense in the first place. The highest form of kshantihi is not taking offense in the first place. And that's possible when there's oneness. I don't forgive myself. I just keep living. After Bhagavan Krishna teaches Prince Arjuna about these 20 values, he shares with Prince Arjuna, these values are actually jnana. This is knowledge itself. And last week we studied a lot how chitta shuddhi, purity of mind, makes jnana pramana, makes knowledge authoritative. And Bhagavan Krishna himself teaches this. He says, what I just taught you is jnana. One who has these values, then the simple teaching of tattvamasi is enough. That person has understood this. One lives accordingly. We continue to 13.8 to 13.11. In Acharya Shankara's Atma Bodha, in the 41st shloka, in the first pada, the first quarter, Acharya Shankara says, Nyatra, Jnana, Nyeya, Bedaha. For the one who's not free, for the one who doesn't have full insight, Nyatra means knower. Jnana is knowing. And Nyeya is known. The knower, knowing, the known are all different. This is Dvaita. This is separatist. Now think of your day. How much of your effort or attention was given towards the known? Your car, the roads, the computer, what you cooked, what you ate. How much of your attention was given towards knowing? The eating part of it, the seeing part of it. Not what's seen, but the seeing part of it. And how much attention was given to the seer, the eater, the knower? If I can casually assign percentages here, I would think that 60% of our attention goes into the known, to the field. 30% goes into knowing, my experience with the field, and only 10% goes into the knower. Who is experiencing? Who am I? The nyatra, the knower, is joy. The knower's nature is Sat, Chit, Ananda. I have to know the nature of the knower to benefit by this. This is my nature, whether I know it or not. But if I don't know this, I go about living in a confused, afraid, and sorrowful way. But once I know this is who I am, I become confident and courageous and content. As our focus is shifted from Tvam, that is Prince Arjuna, and Tat, Bhagavan Krishna, to Asi, to that oneness, understand, knowing is the same as being. In an objective science, knowing is not the same as being. Me knowing economics doesn't make me economics. But in a subjective science, knowing is the same as being. Brahmavid, Brahmeva, Bhavati. The one who knows Brahma, Brahman, is Brahman. Knowing is being. Shlokas 12 through 17 describes the knower. In each chapter, Bhagavan comes back to Prince Arjuna. It's coming back to us. This is our 41st class. Again and again, describing the knower. So that this knowledge that I am not the known, I'm the kshetrajna, is clear. There's 6 shlokas that describe the knower. And giving you a high-level understanding of this first, what does the word brahmachari mean? When I say brahmachari, what immediately comes to your mind is someone who wears yellow. Someone who's celibate, correct? So what you're thinking about is that which is external, no? Someone's form, someone's choice. The word brahmachari means brahmani charati iti brahmachari. Brahmani charati iti brahmachari. Brahmani charati means, charati is wanders. Brahmani, in Brahman. The one who wanders around and wanders in Brahman is a brahmachari. And these next 6 shlokas are taking us to Brahman. So we're wandering around. We're trying to wander in. And another understanding of charati is directed. Directed to Brahman is Brahmani charati. All of us, I hope, are studying Srimad Bhagavad Gita for Brahman, for independent joy. In which case, we come to understand and appreciate the true fullness of brahmachari. It is not about a form and name. It is about a vision. The lifestyle is secondary. The vision is primary. So what is Brahman? The knower, or Brahman, is not conditioned by the known, or prakriti. If I'm the knower, all that I know doesn't condition me. Now, what are some of the things I know? My body, my mind, my intellect. I'm the knower. This is the known. The knower is not conditioned by the known. Imagine the aging and death of the body does not result in fear in us. The restlessness of the mind does not shake our peace. When this distinction between knower and known is there, I'm freed of that. Bhagavan Krishna uses the word sat and asat. Sat here means manifest. Asat means unmanifest. So some of the known is manifest, like grass. Some of the known is unmanifest, like UV rays. Some is gross, some is subtle, In both cases, the knower is not subject to that which is gross or subtle, that which is present or absent. See, I know the presence of a cup. I also know the absence of a cup. Both are known. Knowledge is known. Ignorance is known also. What Bhagavan is trying to teach us here is everything is known. Everything we know in our entire life, right up to the ego, is known. You are different. The limitations of the known are not your limitations. The knower is infinite. You don't have to go anywhere to be the knower. You just have to know you're the knower. And Guruji Swami Tejamayana says, the more introvert one becomes, the more inward looking one becomes, the closer, as if one becomes closer to this knower. Who is the closest to you? You. You know, which means you are the knower. And nothing, no article, no being, no circumstance is closer. This is you. Now this sounds most beautiful, at least in my mind it sounds beautiful. But 9 o'clock approaches, and then we're going to have a discussion. Then someone I don't like very much is going to ask a question. Then Vivekji is going to give an answer that's confusing, and we're going to wait till 9:30. Then I have to do the dishes. Then I have to go to work tomorrow. We went from these beautiful thoughts on the knower straight into the known. How did this all happen? What is Maya? What is Prakriti? We keep using these profound Sanskrit words. How did it happen? How is it that I'm born? If there's only infinity, what's Vivek doing? What is bondage? If there's only the knower, how come I think I'm getting old and I'm going to die? How did this all happen? We've all thought about this before. And then we get scared and go and eat something, isn't it? Brahman and Maya. Brahman and Maya, they as if have a relationship. And the Jiva. So you have Brahman, Maya, Jiva. Brahman, Maya have this relationship. Maya, Jiva have this relationship. Okay? Brahman, Maya, Jiva. They are all beginningless. There's no beginning to Brahman. There's no beginning to Maya or ignorance. I don't think there's anyone in this class who knows how to speak, let me pick a language, Swahili. So how long have you been ignorant about Swahili? Was there a beginning to your ignorance? In 1993, I became ignorant of Swahili. It's beginningless, correct? And Brahman, through Maya, is the Jiva, is also beginningless. When was my first birth? Birth is always in relationship to time. Ignorance came before time. So you're talking about something that has happened before even measurement. Okay, time studies change, but change can only happen in that which is created, correct? So creation came before change, and you're asking, when was creation? But that's not possible. You're asking to measure that which was before. Think about that, okay? These are not such easy thoughts. Understand, Brahman, Maya, and Jiva are all beginningless. However, between these three, only Brahman is endless. The terminology is kutastha nitya. The endlessness of an anvil. Everything changes on the anvil, but the anvil doesn't change. Maya and Jiva will end. What is the opposite of ignorance? Knowledge. So how will Maya end? Vidya. And if Maya is not there, who else is not there? Jiva. That personal Maya called avidya. When Vidya is there, there can't be a avidya. So Maya and Jiva will end. And what Swami Tejamayana encourages us to do is don't focus on how all of this began. Focus on how this will end. We have so many questions about Maya, but very few questions about moksha, isn't it? Because we're so stuck in Maya, moksha is just a theoretical hypothesis. You've all seen the movie The Peaceful Warrior. There's one scene where Dan is getting to know Socrates, the gas station, his guru, and Joy comes for the first time, this pretty girl. And she leaves, and Dan just keeps staring at her and asks questions like, is that your daughter? Does she come around here? Can I get to know her? And Socrates tells Dan, you better ask better questions. That instead of focusing on this pretty girl, focus on what I can teach you. Instead of focusing on the beginninglessness, focus on how this will end. All of this began through Chit appearing as Chidabhasa, as consciousness appearing as the reflection of consciousness just for fun. Just for fun. We call this Leela. But this Chidabhasa, this reflection, forgot to have fun and became serious, like all of you right now. Became serious. And when this Chidabhasa, this reflection of consciousness became serious, that Chidabhasa started to feel that he, she is separate from Chit. And wherever there's separation, what's going to come next? Smallness. I'm separate than you. I make you insecure. You make me insecure. Wherever there's smallness, there is sadness. Because my nature is infinite, but I don't feel that, so I feel sad. And wherever there's sadness, there is stress. Because I keep trying to reconcile this sadness, but it's not working. Only knowledge can change our identification. Only knowledge can change the identification from Chidabhasa to Chit. And nothing else. No karma, no vritti, that's no action, no thought. Only vidya can neutralize this avidya. I'll try to share a worldly example related to this. In Canada right now, and really in North America or anywhere where there were colonizers, which is essentially everywhere, there is such poor treatment of those from the First Nations, the people were the first people to live in this nation. There's various words to describe them. First Nations is a comprehensive word. When we feel the First Nations are separate, there's me and then there's them. But when I have the knowledge that they were there first, then my relationship with them changes completely. My identification changes completely. But nobody has that knowledge. We think we are the first. And so we are the important. And there's a lot of sadness in Canada because of this lack of knowledge that this demographic of people are the first people to live here, not us, as in Vivek or the past few generations. And with the knowledge about they lived here first and we are guests, or at least we're brothers and sisters, my identification changes. Without this knowledge, we will always live in Dvaita overtly and covertly. You think there's less racism in America? Just because there's movies like Black Panther, I'll give you an example. They recently released a report on multiculturalism in Hollywood. And the most significant population outside of white people, of Caucasians, is Latinos. And Latinos are as represented in Hollywood as people of the First Nations. And racism is going away, correct? They're just words, because there's not the knowledge to change our identification. We are separate, period. This knowledge works, is most powerful. Sections 13.12 to 13.15 to complete this chapter. How are we to live this knowledge? We have the theory, but how do I apply this? This can be applied through understanding. When I understand that this message is real and personal, this knowledge works on my identification. If I don't have the understanding, less powerful or next in line is contemplation. By contemplating on this knowledge, this is internalized more. This becomes real and personal. If I'm not strong enough for that, next is insight. When I have the wisdom, the viveka, when this knowledge guides me with this insight, this message becomes real and personal. So best is understanding, next is contemplation, next is insight, next is faith. When one has faith in the Guru Shishya Parampara and they share, you are not the body, you are Brahman, that faith can carry one for this message to become real and personal. Next is dedication. Dedicating one's actions, one's fruits to this knower, to these values. This knowledge becomes real and personal. And finally, love. When one loves Brahman, when one loves Bhagwan, that love can make this knowledge real and personal. Understanding, contemplation, insight, faith, dedication, and love. And Bhagwan, after sharing what can help us live this knowledge, he keeps going back to giving more and more clarity. He says, what is the relationship between the knower and the known? What is the relationship? A relationship can exist only when two entities have the same degree of existence or reality. Same degree of existence or reality, such as waking state thirst and waking state water. Can there be a relationship between dream state thirst and waking state water? It's a different level of reality. Can there be a relationship between light and darkness? Where there's light, there cannot be darkness. Where there's darkness, there cannot be light. The knower and the known are mutually exclusive. There cannot be a relationship between the knower and the known. Understanding this, the known borrows properties from the knower, such as existence. But that's not intrinsic to the knower. An example from Atma Bodha is the ghost on the post. If there was no post, would there be a ghost? That ghost borrows the existence of the post, and then I'm scared. But that's just mithya. There cannot be a relationship with the ghost and the post. Where there's a ghost, there's no post. Where there's a post, there's no ghost. Jnana makes us quieter. And when we are sufficiently quiet, we come to understand what Bhagavan is teaching us, particularly in this powerful and complex chapter. The realization of this knowledge is, I am not bound. I wasn't bound. I am not bound. I will not be bound. And what a relief. Then one actually doesn't have to pursue moksha. Moksha is only where there's bandha, correct? But if there's no bandha, there's no mukti. This is highlighted. This is a shloka that I'm highlighting. The second shloka I'm highlighting for chapter 13. This is shloka 27. Shloka 27. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatvas vinashyantam yaf pashyati sa pashyati. Bhagavan says, someone who feels that they're not bound, samam sarveshu bhuteshu, equally in all beings, tishtantam, living, standing, is Parameshwara, is Brahman, is Bhagavan. Vinashyati, in that which is perishing, avinashyantam, one comes to understand and appreciate that what is perishing is only the form and name, but not the existence, awareness, joy. Yaha pashyati. The one who sees this, the one who knows this, saha pashyati, only that person actually sees. That person is a rishi. To know the kshetra is part of this leela, but I am the kshetrajna. I'm the one who enjoys this leela. And the example that Pujya Swami Tejomayananda uses to make this more clear, he says if you have an eye defect and you look into the sky, there's multiple moons. So is there actual multiple moons, or is it the eye defect? And when that defect is reconciled, there was only one moon before, there's one moon now, and there will only be one moon. There is only the knower. But this defect is avidya. I've forgotten this, so I see separation, smallness, sadness, stress. Acharya Shankara shares in Vivekachudamani, the one who doesn't strive to shift from the known to the knower, that person is engaging in atmaha. They're committing suicide. And it is suicide of the opportunity that these terms, this environment is there to take us from the limited to the limitless, and not to aspire to strive to make this shift is wrecking this opportunity. Suicide, at a relative level, a human being has the greatest expression or the greatest potential to manifest chit. More than a pig, I have the potential to express this awareness. And so, if I commit suicide, if I destroy this body, then I've destroyed this greatest manifestation or potential of chit. That is the highest adharma. And that's just of this body. Of the mind, that's even greater. To not take this mind to the highest. To keep it on the low. In the chapter, Swami Tejomayananda says, it's like being in a kingdom and you ignore the king the whole time and you just hang out with the security. with the bodyguards. That would be a poor way to live in that kingdom, correct? This king is Bhagwan. To keep focusing on each other, bodyguards, those who are lower, and to ignore the king, the queen, Bhagwan, Bhagavati. That's a foolish way to be in the kingdom. That's a foolish way to live. Saha pashyati, this person sees, and what they see, they love. They love all bhutas, humans, animals, plants, stones. And where there is love, there is service. They are the greatest sevakas and sevikas. They have nothing to gain, so they have nothing to lose, so they just give and give and give. For all of those who manage people, if you want to bring out the best in a person, teach them. Chapter 13 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This chapter highlights how we are born as individuals, but we should die as infinity. Antyeshti is the antaha, the end, not of the body, but should be the end of the avidya, of this separation. Once I know the difference between the infinite and the individuality cannot touch the infinite. I am free. Narayana.